I'm George, and this is my story. I still remember the day my life changed forever. It was a typical Monday morning, and I was getting ready for work. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend, Griffin. "Hey man, let's catch up soon." I replied, "Definitely, what's up?" He responded, "Just got some news about Celine. Meet me at Princeton's cafe at 5 p.m. My heart sank. Celine was my girlfriend, and I had a feeling something was off. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering back to Griffin's message. What could he possibly have to tell me about Celine? We had been together for 3 years, and everything seemed perfect. I thought about calling Celine, but something held me back. I decided to wait until I met Griffin. As the day dragged on, I found myself checking my phone every few minutes, waiting for 5 p.m. to arrive. When the time finally came, I rushed to Princeton's cafe. Griffin was already there, sipping on a coffee. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my cool. Griffin looked around nervously before leaning in. "I don't know how to tell you this, George, but Celine's been lying to you." My mind went blank. What was he talking about? I shook my head, trying to process what I was hearing. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Griffin hesitated before speaking. "I've seen her with someone else, George. I'm not sure what's going on, but I thought you deserved to know." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Who was this person Griffin was talking about? And why was Celine lying to me? I didn't know what to believe or who to trust. All I knew was that my life was about to change in ways I couldn't imagine. Benny, my other friend, walked into the cafe, and Griffin signaled him to join us. "Hey guys, what's up?" Benny asked, noticing the serious looks on our faces. I just shook my head, unsure of how to proceed. Benny's eyes widened as he took in the tense atmosphere. "What's going on?" he asked, looking at Griffin and then at me. Griffin filled him in on what he'd just told me about Celine. Benny's expression turned serious and he nodded in agreement. "I've noticed some weird stuff too, George. She's been distant lately and her phone's always on silent." I felt a pang of doubt. Was everyone around me seeing something I wasn't? I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through Celine's social media profiles. Everything seemed normal, happy posts, cute pictures, and loving messages. But Griffin's words kept echoing in my mind. "I've seen her with someone else." I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. "Guys, I need to know what's going on," I said, looking at Griffin and Benny. "Can you tell me more about what you've seen?" Griffin hesitated, glancing at Benny before speaking up. "I was at a conference last week and I saw her having lunch with this guy. They seemed pretty cozy." Benny chimed in. "And I've seen her texting someone late at night. She's always deleted the messages by morning." My mind was racing with questions. Who was this guy? What was going on between them, and why was Celine lying to me? I decided to confront Celine, but I needed more information. "Guys, let's dig deeper. I want to know what's really going on." Griffin and Benny nodded in agreement, and we started brainstorming ways to uncover the truth. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change everything I thought I knew about Celine and myself. We spent the next few hours gathering information, trying to piece together the puzzle of Celine's life. Griffin started digging through her social media profiles, looking for any clues. Benny tried to find out more about the guy Griffin had seen her with, while I decided to snoop around her place. I knew it was a risk, but I had to know the truth. As I rummaged through her drawers and closet, I stumbled upon a small notebook hidden under her bed. It was filled with cryptic messages and codes. I recognized some of the symbols as belonging to a secret messaging app. My heart sank as I realized Celine might be hiding more than I thought. I snapped a few photos of the notebook pages with my phone and sent them to Griffin and Benny. "Guys, I found something," I texted. Griffin replied, "Meet me at my place. We need to decode this." I left Celine's place, feeling like a detective on a mission. When I arrived at Griffin's, we spent hours deciphering the codes. It was like solving a puzzle, and each piece we fitted together revealed a more disturbing picture. The messages hinted at a secret relationship, and the language used was intimate and familiar. I felt a knot in my stomach as the truth began to dawn on me. "Who is this guy?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger and sadness. Griffin and Benny looked at each other, unsure of what to say. "We don't know, George, But we need to find out, Griffin said firmly. I nodded, determination burning within me. I was going to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. Little did I know, the truth would be more shocking than I ever imagined. We decided to pay a visit to Celine's workplace, hoping to gather more information about her mysterious relationship. As we walked into the office building, I felt a mix of emotions: anxiety, anger, and sadness. Griffin and Benny were with me, trying to offer support, but I knew I had to face this alone. We approached her desk, trying to act casual. Griffin started chatting with her co-workers while Benny snooped around her workspace. I stood back, observing Celine's reactions. She seemed normal, laughing and smiling with her colleagues, but when she caught my eye, I saw a flicker of unease. Griffin managed to extract some information from her co-workers. Apparently, she's been getting a lot of mysterious calls and messages at work, he whispered to me, and one of her colleagues mentioned seeing her with a guy a few times. My suspicions were confirmed. Celine was hiding something, and I was determined to find out what. As we were about to leave, Celine spotted me and walked over. Hey, what's going on? She asked, her voice light and friendly. I forced a smile, trying not to reveal my true intentions. Just waiting for you, I said, glancing at my watch. We can grab lunch together. Celine agreed, and we made plans to meet later. But little did she know, our lunch date would be more like an interrogation. As we sat down for lunch, I tried to keep the conversation light, but my mind was racing with questions. Celine seemed oblivious to the tension, chatting about her day and her co-workers, but I could sense a hint of nervousness beneath her calm exterior. I decided to probe her gently, trying not to arouse her suspicion. So, how's everything going? I asked, trying to sound casual. Celine smiled, but her eyes darted around the room. Everything's fine, just busy with work, she replied. I pressed on, trying to get more information. You've been working late a lot lately. Is everything okay? Celine's smile faltered for a moment before she regained her composure. Yeah, just trying to meet some deadlines, she said, her voice a little too quickly. I knew I had to tread carefully, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that she was hiding something. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with a text from Griffin. Ask her about the guy he had sent. I hesitated for a moment before deciding to take the plunge. Hey, Celine, can I ask you something? I said, trying to sound nonchalant. What's going on with you and that guy Griffin saw you with? Celine's expression changed, and for a moment I saw a flash of fear in her little Celine's eyes widened, and she looked around the restaurant nervously. What are you talking about, George? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I leaned in, my heart racing with anticipation. Don't play dumb, Celine. Griffin saw you with someone. Who is he? Celine's face turned pale, and she glanced around the restaurant again, as if searching for an escape route. George, I can explain, she stammered. I raised an eyebrow, skeptical. Explain what? Who is this guy? Celine took a deep breath and leaned in closer. It's a colleague from work. We were just discussing a project, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't believe her. The look in her eyes told me she was hiding something. I pushed my chair back, feeling a mix of emotions. Celine, I don't know what's going on, but I deserve the truth, I said firmly. Celine's eyes welled up with tears, and she reached out for my hand. George, please listen to me. I'll tell you everything, she begged. I hesitated, unsure if I was ready to hear the truth. But something in her eyes made me pause. Maybe it was the desperation or the fear, but I decided to give her a chance. Okay, talk, I said, my voice firm but controlled. Celine took a deep breath and began to speak, her words spilling out like a confession. Celine, I need to know the truth, I said firmly, my eyes locked on hers. She took a deep breath and began to speak, her words tumbling out in a rush. George, I'm sorry. I know I've been lying to you, and I'm so sorry. The guy Griffin saw me with is someone I've been working with on a project. We were just colleagues at first, but things happened. I felt a pang of jealousy and hurt, but I tried to keep my cool. What kind of things? I asked, my voice tight with emotion. Celine hesitated, her eyes darting around the restaurant. We started talking, and I guess I developed feelings for him, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Feelings? I repeated, my voice rising. What kind of feelings? Celine's eyes welled up with tears. George, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know I should have been honest with you from the start. I sat back in my chair, trying to process what I was hearing. I felt betrayed, hurt, and angry. But at the same time, I wanted to understand why Celine had done what she did. Why? I asked, my voice softer now. Why did you lie to me? Celine's tears flowed freely now, and she reached out for my hand again. I was scared, George. I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid of losing you, she said, her voice cracking with emotion. I pulled my hand away, feeling a mix of emotions. I didn't know what to believe or how to feel. All I knew was that our relationship had changed forever. I sat in stunned silence, trying to process the revelation. Celine's words hung in the air, and I could feel the weight of her confession bearing down on me. I didn't know what to say or do. Part of me wanted to walk away, to leave her and her secrets behind. But another part of me wanted to understand, to know why she had done what she did. Celine, I need some time to think, I said finally, my voice calm but detached. Celine nodded, tears still streaming down her face. I understand, George. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but please don't shut me out completely. I want to make things right between us. I looked at her, searching for any sign of sincerity. Her eyes were red-rimmed and puffy, and her face was pale. She looked like she had been carrying a heavy burden for a long time. I felt a pang of sympathy despite my hurt and anger. I'll think about it, I said, standing up from the table. But for now, I need some space. Celine nodded, her eyes welling up with tears again. Okay, George, I'll give you space. But please, don't disappear on me. I want to work through this together. I nodded, feeling a sense of uncertainty. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew I needed time to process my emotions and figure out what I wanted. As I walked away from the restaurant, I couldn't help but wonder if our relationship could ever be the same again. I walked out of the restaurant feeling lost and uncertain. The cool evening air hit me like a slap in the face, snapping me out of my daze. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I needed to get away from Celine and her confession. As I walked, I couldn't help but think about our relationship. We had been together for a few years, and I had thought we were happy. But now, I wasn't so sure. Celine's confession had thrown everything into chaos. I walked for hours trying to clear my head. The city was alive and buzzing around me, but I felt disconnected from it all. I was trapped in my own thoughts, reliving every moment of our relationship. Eventually, I found myself at Griffin's place. He opened the door, concern etched on his face. "Hey man, what's going on?" he asked, stepping aside to let me in. I collapsed onto his couch, feeling exhausted. "It's over," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Griffin sat down beside me, his expression sympathetic. "What happened?" he asked, his voice gentle. I told him everything. Celine's confession, her lies, her feelings for someone else. Griffin listened attentively, his face a mask of concern. When I finished, he nodded thoughtfully. "I'm sorry, George, that's tough to hear." I nodded, feeling a lump form in my throat. "I don't know what to do," I admitted. Griffin put a hand on my shoulder. "You need time, man. Take all the time you need, but don't make any rash decisions. Think things through." I nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude towards my friend. Maybe he was right. Maybe I did need time to think. But as I sat there, I knew that my relationship with Celine would never be the same again. The next few days were a blur. I barely slept, barely ate. All I could think about was Celine and her confession. I felt like I was living in a nightmare, and I couldn't wake up. Griffin and Benny were there for me, supporting me through this tough time. They listened to me vent, offered words of encouragement, and reminded me that I deserved better. But despite their support, I couldn't shake off the feeling of betrayal. Celine, I couldn't help but wonder if I had been blind to the signs. Had she been unhappy in our relationship? Had I been too caught up in my own world to notice? I thought back to our conversations, our dates, our fights. Had there been any red flags, any warning signs? I couldn't remember anything specific, but maybe I had been ignoring the signs. As I sat on the couch, lost in thought, I heard a knock on the door. It was Griffin. "Hey man, I brought some food," he said, holding up a bag of takeout. I smiled weakly, grateful for his concern. Thanks, Griffin. I appreciate it. We ate in silence for a while, the only sound being the clinking of utensils on plates. Finally, Griffin spoke up. So, what's the plan? He asked. I shrugged. I don't know. I need some time to think, I guess. Griffin nodded. Take all the time you need, but don't forget to take care of yourself, okay? I nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude towards my friend. He was right. I needed to take care of myself, both physically and emotionally. As I sat there, eating and thinking, I realized that I had a long road ahead of me, but I was determined to come out stronger on the other side. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I took Griffin's advice and gave myself time to think. I reflected on my relationship with Celine, trying to make sense of what had happened. I realized that I had been living in a bubble, oblivious to the problems that had been brewing beneath the surface. One day, I decided to take a walk in the park. The fresh air and sunshine did me some good, and I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. I thought about Celine and our relationship, and I knew that I had to make a decision. As I walked, I saw a familiar figure in the distance. It was Celine. She was sitting on a bench, staring out at the lake. My heart skipped a beat as I wondered what she was doing there. Was she waiting for me? I approached her slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. She looked up and saw me, and for a moment we just stared at each other. Then, she smiled weakly and patted the bench beside her. Hey, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I've been waiting for you. I sat down beside her, feeling a mix of emotions. I wasn't sure what to say or do, but I knew that I had to talk to her. What do you want, Celine? I asked, my voice firm but controlled. Celine took a deep breath and looked out at the lake. I want to talk to you, George. I want to explain what happened and why. I raised an eyebrow, skeptical. Go ahead, I said, my voice neutral. Celine hesitated, collecting her thoughts. And then, she began to talk. Celine's words spilled out like a confession, and I listened intently. She told me about her feelings of loneliness and disconnection in our relationship. She spoke about the attention and validation she received from the other guy, and how it made her feel seen and appreciated. As I listened, I felt a mix of emotions. I was hurt and angry, but I also understood where she was coming from. I realized that our relationship had been struggling, and I hadn't been paying enough attention to her needs. Why didn't you talk to me about it? I asked, my voice softer now. Why did you keep it all inside? Celine shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. I was scared, George. I was scared of losing you, of ruining our relationship. I didn't know how to fix it, so I just tried to ignore it. I nodded, feeling a sense of regret. I should have been more attentive, I said. I should have listened more. Celine looked at me, her eyes searching. Can we fix it, George? Can we work through this? I took a deep breath, weighing my options. I still loved Celine, but I wasn't sure if I could forgive her so easily. I don't know, I said honestly. I need more time to think. Celine nodded, understanding. I understand, she said. Take all the time you need. I'll be here, waiting. As we sat there in silence, I knew that our relationship was at a crossroads. We could work through this and come out stronger, or we could part ways. Only time would tell. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. I took the time I needed to think, and Celine gave me the space I required. We didn't break up, but we didn't move forward either. We were stuck in limbo, waiting for me to make a decision. During this time, I did a lot of soul-searching. I thought about my feelings, my values, and what I wanted from life. I realized that I wasn't just fighting for our relationship, I was fighting for myself. I needed to figure out if I was willing to forgive and move forward, or if it was time to let go. One day, I decided to take a trip to the mountains. I needed to clear my head and get some perspective. As I sat on a rocky outcropping, watching the sunset, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I realized that I had been holding on to anger and hurt for too long. It was time to let go. When I returned, I knew what I had to do. I called Celine and asked her to meet me at the same park where we had talked before. She agreed, and I could sense the hope in her voice. As we sat down on the bench, I took her hand. Celine, I've been thinking a lot, I said. I've been thinking about us, about our relationship, and about forgiveness. Celine looked at me, her eyes filled with anticipation. And? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I took a deep breath. And I think I can forgive you, I said. I think we can work through this and come out stronger on the other side. Celine's face lit up with tears and she threw her arms around me. Thank you, George, she whispered. Thank you for forgiving me. As we hugged, I knew that our relationship was far from perfect, but it was worth fighting for. We had been through a lot, but we were willing to work together to build a stronger, healthier relationship. As we hugged, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I knew that forgiveness wasn't easy, but it was necessary for our relationship to move forward. Celine and I pulled back, and I looked into her eyes. I love you, I said, my voice sincere. But I need you to promise me one thing. Celine nodded, her eyes wide with anticipation. Anything, she said. What do you need me to promise? I need you to promise me that you'll be honest with me from now on, I said. No more secrets, no more lies. Can you do that for me? Celine nodded vigorously. I promise, George. I'll be honest with you from now on. I swear it. I smiled, feeling a sense of relief. I appreciate that, I said. And I promise you the same. I'll be honest with you, and we'll work through this together. Celine smiled back, and we shared a tender kiss. It was a new beginning for us, a chance to rebuild our relationship on a foundation of trust and honesty. As we walked hand in hand out of the park, I knew that our journey wouldn't be easy. There would be ups and downs, and we'd face challenges along the way. But I was confident that we could overcome them, as long as we had each other. Let's start fresh, I said, squeezing her hand. Let's build a new chapter in our relationship, one that's based on trust, honesty, and love. Celine nodded, her eyes shining with tears. I'd like that, she said. I'd like that a lot. And with that, we began our new chapter, one that would be filled with its own set of challenges and triumphs. But we were ready, armed with the knowledge that our love was strong enough to overcome anything. Months went by, and our relationship began to flourish once again. We worked on rebuilding trust, and Celine was true to her word. She was honest with me about everything. We communicated openly, and our bond grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, as we were cooking dinner together, Celine turned to me with a smile. George, I have something to tell you, she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. What is it? I asked, curiosity piqued. I've been thinking about my job, and I've decided to make a change, she said. I'm going to start looking for a new opportunity that aligns better with my passions and values. I nodded, feeling proud of her for taking control of her career. That sounds amazing, I said. I'm happy to support you in any way I can. Celine's face lit up with gratitude. Thank you, George. Your support means everything to me. As we finished cooking dinner, I realized that our relationship had come a long way. We had faced challenges and overcome them, and now we were stronger and more in love than ever. After dinner, we sat on the couch, watching the stars twinkling outside. Celine leaned her head on my shoulder, and I wrapped my arm around her. I'm glad we made it through, I said, looking down at her. Celine looked up at me, her eyes shining with love. Me too, she said. I love you, George. I love you too, I replied, holding her close. In that moment, I knew that our love was worth fighting for. We had weathered the storm, and now we were enjoying the sunshine. And as we sat there together, I knew that our relationship would continue to grow and flourish, built on a foundation of trust, honesty, and love. Have you ever faced a challenge in your relationship? Share your story in the comments below. Let's discuss how we can build stronger, healthier relationships together. Subscribe to our channel for more relationship advice, personal stories, and tips on building meaningful connections. What's your relationship goal? Let us know in the comments, and we might feature you in our next video. Let's keep the conversation going.